Class, this is Joseph, your professor. Hope everybody's doing well. Okay, so this is a video on how to write your final paper. So right now we're in week 17. Last week, Cal State San Marcos is out. This is your last week of class. But papers are due Thursday night, no later than midnight. This is on week 17. You can scroll down, and you can see that. Let me see here. May 14, Thursday night, 11:59. So you already have the instructions in the documents, but I'm just going to, it's easier sometimes to listen to somebody talk while you read, so that you get a different layer of understanding. So there's two options. And if some of you have noticed that option one seems a little bit more difficult because there's one other paper to read. Like there's 3 papers to read. And option 2, there's only 2 papers to read. Option 1, 3 papers. Option 2, 2 papers. So it really doesn't matter the reading. It really matters what you feel fascinated to write about. You're either writing about legalization of drugs or on the taking care of our parents. Whatever fascinates you more, pick that one. Why? Because it's easier to write about something that fascinates you or / bothers you than it is something that you're not interested in. So my suggestion as your professor is this. Don't worry about how much you have to read. Pick something that you love writing about. You got 2 choices. Okay, so 1, do you want drugs to be legal or not to be legal? And you've got 2 papers to read, but let's just go to the instructions. So let's go out. Option 1. Okay, so here's the clear instructions. Just as a brief note, what I'm looking for is literally 6 different sections of your paper. 1 and 2 is literally 1 section. Why? Because the thesis statement shows up in your intro paragraph. So you might say intro paragraph. You could even put intro in bold letters, and then right then and there I know, okay, this person, this is their intro paragraph. Their thesis is going to show up in here. And I make it real easy for you. I'm literally giving you exactly which thesis you can use. There's 2 of them. You are either arguing that prohibition of hard drugs maximizes utility, or legalization of drugs would maximize utility. So on the first hand, you don't want it to be legal, or second hand, you do want it to be legal. What's utility mean? Well, that's that 3rd paper you have to read. It's an ethics paper. So I'm not teaching you an ethics class, but this is an ethics paper to write about. So utilitarianism, in short, is all about morality being grounded in the consequences of an argument. So like whatever action you might take, you might ask, does it maximize happiness and reduce pain for the maximum number of people in the end? That's the consequence view, right? So that's what utilitarianism is all about. And it even states that here, maximizes utility, creates the greatest amount of happiness for the greatest number of people. So if you pick this option, I'll expect you to read those 3 papers. One's against, one's for, and then one's utility, explaining, what this ethical theory is about. And you're going to write a brief introduction, a clear, obvious thesis statement. Keep in mind, I give you both possible thesis statements here. So what I expect to see in your paper is, I argue that, pick your thesis statement, or this paper argues that. If you do not have a clear thesis statement, I'll know that you did not listen to this video or you did not read these instructions, and you'll lose points, okay? So successful students writing these papers, successful students, listen to this video and read the instructions clearly, okay? So that's just giving you the bottom line there. Then after you give me your intro and thesis statement, you're going to give me your main argument. And this is the main body of your paper, saying, look, why do you think that this should be the case? And in here, I'm going to expect quotes, 2 to 3 quotes. How do you quote them? Parentheses, the author's name, comma, page number. Done. It's all going to be in parentheses. So you give me your quote. Inside the parentheses after your quote, author's name, comma, page number. Done. I'm going to expect 2 to 3 quotes. That way, I know you're not plagiarizing. So you can paraphrase or you can directly quote. I'll expect at least 2 to 3 quotes for this section, the main body of your paper, section number 3, okay? So you're going to either be arguing on Friedman's behalf or arguing on Wilson's behalf. I'm going to expect 2 or 3 quotes. That keeps you honest as students. You're not plagiarizing, okay? And then you're going to give me an objection to your paper. You might say, well, I argue that I think drugs should be banned. However, in section 4, you might say, however, this other guy's got actually a good argument for why drugs should be legalized. And here's what I think his strongest argument is. And then you're going to say in 5, you're going to say, however, I disagree with his strongest argument. I just disagree with it. And, you can give me a quote or 2 in this section 4 here. Why? Because you're going to be pulling out your opponent's view here and saying, look, I reject their view. However, they got a strong argument going on here. So feel free to quote 1 to 2 quotes in this section. Section 5, you don't have to quote. This is in your own words. Why do you think that the strongest argument to your why do you think the strongest counter argument to your position, why do you think it doesn't work? And then 6, conclusion, small paragraph. Here's my thesis. I think it's good because this is the way I argued, and you're done. I'm going to expect 1,000 to 1,500 words. I don't care how many pages it is. I don't care what font it is. I'm going for words now. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look to see if you've given at least 1,000 to 1,500 words, okay? So that's pretty much it for this first paper. Guess what? The second paper, the second paper is pretty much the same. Background, I'm telling you what thesis statements you can provide right here. And again, you got a brief introduction, the clear thesis statement, which should be in your introduction, the main argument, the objection to your argument, the response to that objection, then your conclusion, same thing, 1,000 to 1,500 words, okay? How do you do a bibliography? Notice I don't have number 7 bibliography. That's because you have these additional sheets. So for the first paper, how do I do a bibliography? Literally, I'm giving it to you. Here it is. This is your bibliography. Unless you use outside sources as well, you are literally going to cut and paste this into your bibliography or works cited section, okay? If you do not, you'll lose points. It could not be easier. Here's a bibliography. And it's literally got the exact format you'll need, okay? And what's the bibliography for paper number 2? There you go, 2 sources. Feel free to use outside sources. Now, while I'm on it, so let me pull back up this right here. So legalization of drugs, I mean, these are fun papers. You would not believe how many students just really get into this, and then they bring in their own opinions, and I love it. Paper 2 is very personal. I can't tell you how many personal stories I've heard from your own family experience. Even me, I struggle with this. I'm like, wow, I have 2 kids. One of my daughter Chloe, she's almost going to turn 19. She's at UC Davis. She's a big girl now. She's studying. And I'm thinking, wow, when I think of these papers, I'm thinking, what does my daughter think of me? Because I'm her dad. So it's profound. And if you don't have kids, doesn't matter. You're a child of some parent. And if you don't know your parents, that's part of your personal story. Maybe somebody else acted as a parent. And how do you feel towards that? You might have religious beliefs that come in. You might have societal beliefs that come in. For example, if you're born in China, Japan, Taiwan, Eastern philosophy have a whole different spin on family life. They are all about taking care of your family. Even a lot of Latinos that I know versus Western society. So you got a lot of different resources you can pull from on what you think about, how to take care of your parents or not. In Western society, we tend to be more independent, but these are fun papers. So anyways, those are your 2 papers. You know exactly how to write them. My suggestion is, going back to this, whatever paper you choose, I would put bold-faced headings, intro paragraph, or just put intro in bold. Intro in bold. The next section, main argument, you can put that in bold as a subheading. The next one, objection. The next one, response. The next one, conclusion. The next one, bibliography. Those could be your bold subtitles inside your paper. That way you know what you're doing in each part of your paper, and I know what you're doing, okay? So how will I grade you? Well, in your Turnitin, there's a paper rubric, and it's pretty simple. Intro, thesis, main argument, objection, response. Support and documentation, did you give me some quotes? Did you do your bibliography? For example, in your main body, 2 to 3 quotes. In your objection, 1 to 2 quotes. Did you do that? Did you plagiarize? I mean, don't plagiarize. I don't even have to check that by human hands. A computer algorithm literally tells me exactly where you got your information. If you literally copy somebody's paper into this area or copy something from the internet and you don't cite it, this plagiarism software data, it will literally tell me exactly what site you use and exactly what sentences you use. So please don't do that, okay? Again, we're all still learning how to write. We're getting better. This is why I provide you the ability to quote in your paper. It keeps you honest, keeps you away from plagiarism. And here's the bottom line. I want to know what you think. I don't want to know what somebody else wrote about. I want to know what you think. Read these papers. Get into it. Some of this stuff is exciting. Let me know what you think. And here's the fun part. I've been preparing you for these final papers all semester long. You remember those 6 debates you did? Remember why I asked you, did you listen to the whole debate? Some of you said, oh, I only listened to the parts that I agreed with. Oh my gosh. Well, how are you going to write your objection section? I want you to listen to the people you don't agree with, because some of them are very smart and they have a really nice counter argument that might bother you. You might say, whoa, I reject that view, but the way that they argued for it, man, it makes me think. But then you might say, well, but I still reject their view, and here's why. I've given you 6 times of going through this process in your debates. So now that most of you have done these debates, this paper should be easy peasy to write. Why? Because you've already been doing this all along. I've been training you, okay? So anyways, grammar and spelling. The most I'll take off is 16%, support and documentation 16%, objection 17. I try to make it well-rounded so that if you bomb one section, and you write well in the others, and I'll just click on these and it gives me your points. Okay, so that's it for your rubric. All this is due no later than May 14, Thursday, 11:59. This is the hard deadline. That's it. Last but not least, your extra credit is due no later than Saturday, May 16th by 5 o'clock. I will do a separate video. I already have a separate video on this. It is on the very first page of your Cougar courses. Right down here. Here's my video on exactly how to do extra credit. Don't email me saying, hey, by the way, I'm going to do this extra credit. Just email me when the extra credit's done. And I'll just add it on here. You can watch this video, but one thing that won't be in the video is these debates. I said if you want to do 2 debates, I will give you a full extra credit. If you want to do 2 debates, okay? And what are you going to do in the debates? I've already told you. I said you do the exact format you would. Let me see this. Okay. I said you could do the exact format that you would on a normal debate. The only thing that will be missing is you're not going to respond to another student. Okay? I've taken that out. So you do everything but that. Did you watch the whole debate? What was your vote before it, your vote after it? You can pick anything on that website. Go to Intelligence Squared or whatever the website was. Go back to one of your previous debates, click in debates. You can see a whole slew of them. There's all kinds of cool stuff in there that I didn't cover. Pick 2 that you like. Generally, how does it work on extra credit? I'll show you. This scale right here, wherever you land, let's say you got a C, right? And you do a full extra credit, I will bump you up 2 notches. 1, 2. So now you're at a B minus. Well, what does a B minus mean? It means a B. So first thing I do is look at on Cougar courses, all your points here. All your MindTap points should be with your Cougar courses. And by the way, if any of you are missing any MindTap points, where the points are off, let me know. Email me. I'll fix it right away. Okay? And when I enter your final grades, I'm going to go student by student. I'm going to check your MindTap, your Google courses. I'm going to make sure I got everything legit. I'm going to see if you've emailed me your extra credit, all that kind of stuff. I get your final points, put it here. If you don't do extra credit, that's your grade. For example, if you got a C+, that's actually a C. Just straight letter grades, okay? Here's the caveat, and I'll mention it now. If some of you are at a B- and you just want to get up just that little bitty notch, or if you're at a C+ and you want to, a B grade, or if you're at a B+, you want an A grade, or if you're at a D+, you want a C grade, and you don't want to do a full extra credit, but you want to do like a half extra credit, instead of doing 2 movies, remember there's something called the Hipster Challenge, listen to my other video. Instead of doing 2 movies, do 1 movie with the 2 pages of questions that I ask you. Just do 1 movie, and that will count as 1 notch on the scale. Or if you only want to be bumped up 1 notch, do 1 debate. 1 debate instead of 2. So I'm giving you flexibility. Some of you barely need to get bumped up, but some of you need the full extra credit, all right? So again, you get bumped up 2 notches if you do a full extra credit. And I have a bunch of options: conference, debate, reading the book. The Ranger Challenge never counts for this class because you guys are all online. If you have any questions, email me. But this is your grading rubric. Once again, sorry about that. Once again, you got 2 paper options. You pick one or the other. You know exactly what to do. You've listened to this video and you're done. Okay, so I'm pretty sure I've explained everything in the paper that I'm expecting of you. And like I said, successful students do everything that I've asked. If you've done that and you've given me good arguments on your own behalf, done. A+, 100. Okay, I want to give you the maximum points. Just do what I want, and you got them. And my advice to you is don't wait to the last minute to read these. You should have already been starting to read these papers. But if you started today, let's say, that's fine. Just read your 2 or 3 papers you got. Pick your thesis you're going to argue for or against. It should be real fast. In your mind, you'll know what position you land on. If you struggle between option 1 and 2, flip a coin. Literally, flip a coin. Pick one. Start reading. If you're struggling with your thesis position in each one, no problem. Start reading the papers. I promise you, you will form an opinion. Something will crystallize in your mind as you're reading the papers, and then that becomes your thesis, okay? It's either for or against. That's it. Anything else, just let me know, okay? Okay, good luck.